We're live. Casey, how's it going?
Good. Here we are. Opposite sides of the world, they say.
As they say.
Academia. I think there's some doubt spread upon that. But topic of this morning, I thought we could talk a little bit about this man here, Carlos Castaneda, man
Yeah.
shrouded in mystery.
Yeah.
Nobody knew where he was from, his real name, whether the stuff he told was true. And it was only after his death that we started figuring things out about him. But I think he was kind of thrown to the side because what he was revealing was very empowering information. So I think he was discredited socially and in the mainstream in order to steer people away from the empowerment that he had to offer. So I would like to share the amazing things that Carlos has to share today. I
Please
think we
do.
need to revisit Castaneda.
All right.
And yeah,
So, what book is that? He's got a series of books. That's one of many.
one of the very last books that he made. And honestly, I don't like all of his books.
Yeah.
And there's a reason. I think that he's a great person. And I don't think he's a great person, but I think he's a man that brought like a lot of knowledge that would have been lost to humanity. And he
Right.
was a human, just like everybody else. He was a human being, the being human experience, right? He had his flaws, he had his good aspects to it. And I think that in the end, he succumbed to his vices. He ended up destroying. I think that he fell off the path of power and knowledge based upon the teachings of the Toltec tradition. He was following indigenous knowledge. He was an anthropologist student at UCLA and California, and he was going for his thesis paper, and he was writing about peyote in southwestern United States with the Yaqui Indian tribe. And he found this shaman down there eventually that would teach him about peyote, and it just led into this 20 years of his life just involved with this. And he wrote a series of books, about like 12 or 13 books. And honestly, I think the very first book was terrible. It was really just like a rewriting of his college thesis that he was trying to get published. But after that, the books started getting really good until about like the fourth or fifth book were just fantastic books that I've read a dozen times each. But then as the books progressed towards the end of his life, I felt that they were falling off. They was like looking for content that didn't really work in his first books, just like trying to piece things together. And eventually wound up with this The Wheel of Time book, which isn't even really a book. It's just a collection of good quotes from all the other books in the series. And I think it was just like an obvious money grab at the end of his life. But at the end of the game too, here we are. It's got some great gems within it that I find inspiring and I read to inspire me in the mornings. And I think we've lost a lot by not appreciating what Carlos was and what he stood for and what he brought to the world.
Mm. All right. Cool. Give us a passage. What's
Well, it's all about like it's a very structured of learning process of initiation for shamans, and it's like the warrior's path they call it, the warrior's path. So it's like your path of knowledge, bids for power, becoming a man of knowledge, become a warrior, becoming a hunter. And there's just one quote I opened up to here this morning. It's just like the basic difference between an ordinary man and a warrior is that a warrior takes everything as a challenge, while an ordinary man takes everything as either a blessing or a curse.
good?
So, one of the main points within the Carlos Castaneda teachings is that a man seeking knowledge keeps their mind steady throughout life. He says that the world of mankind goes up and down on this emotional roller coaster throughout their entirety of their lives. And he says warriors have no business in that world. They need to be straight and even through it all and realize the truth behind it and not get emotionally involved, not get all caught up in it. And so that's the point behind it. It's like you don't take things as a blessing or a curse. It's just your challenges in life to make you better.
Right.
Have you read any of the books?
I read the first couple. Um, I read the first couple. I also know a little bit about his story, his life story, and at the end of his life, like he said, he kind of went a bit weird. Um,
Yeah,
you
he
know,
became hugely popular at the end of his life.
he became really
And
popular. He did became really popular. I think in the end he had like two or three wives in the end, or he was living with a bit of a harem of women. Um, he had a long-standing wife for most of his life, and then towards the end of his life, he just walked away from her one day, and then ended up with a couple different women at the same time. Um, it just created quite a lot of confusion as to what world he was living in, I believe. He sort of got to that point, and some people say that he kind of physically left this world, even though he was still here physically. He was kind of the lights were on, but nobody was home kind of thing. I don't know. This is just, I mean, there's a bit of a documentary floating around about it.
yeah, there is, yeah. And it doesn't paint anything in a very good picture.
It does
Or
not. It does not. No, it painted
uh,
him out to be a bit of a bullshit artist, really.
yeah. Yeah, and that's unfortunate because I feel there's a lot of value to what he brought to the world through his knowledge.
I
And
mean,
I don't even
totally, totally, yeah.
I think that he was just honestly presenting the knowledge of Don Juan, which was his muse, his inspiration.
Yeah, absolutely.
It seemed like towards the end of his life, Don Juan in the storyline cut him off. It's like you're on your own now, Carlos.
Right.
And at that point, his work really became less quality. It continued to go downhill at that point, which
Well,
I think like the fact that Don Juan was a real person.
that's
And
exactly.
that because I don't think Carlos could pull this off by himself. I think he had to have external knowledge.
I definitely, definitely. But yeah, I mean, there is a lot of question about if is this whole thing just a made up story? But if it is, I mean, wow, he's I don't know.
Yeah.
I've found a lot of inspiration in the things that he said, and by working with plant medicines and diving into that
Yeah.
other realm. What's that?
Steven Spielberg had a comment on that point as well. He was asked once if he thought that the stuff that Carlos made up was made up or if it was real. And Steven Spielberg said, it doesn't matter. The stuff is just so brilliant in its presentation and its knowledge. It doesn't matter if he made
Mm,
it up or not. It
mm,
transformed it. And Steven Spielberg was so amazed with Carlos Castaneda, he named his whole production company after the third book in Carlos's series, which was called Journey to Ixtlan. And so Steven Spielberg named his country Ixtlan Productions because he was such a fan of Carlos.
I
So
did
that's
not
like,
know that. All right. Did not
I mean,
know
so
that. Just
very interesting for his time.
okay, cool, cool. Yeah, I've only read the first three, I think it is, up to the
Tales of Power or the separate side of reality,
I don't
something like
know,
that.
something ring. Was it something ring? Something Sorcerer's Ring? I can't remember.
Ring of Power,
Yeah,
second Ring of
ring of
Power, or
power. Yeah, ring of
power, power of Silence.
power. Yeah, ring
Those
of
are
power.
second Ring of Power is sort of starting to fall off the cliff. I think
Is
there's
that?
some good stuff there, but yeah, people are starting to really be judgy of them at that point.
Uh, Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to give him another read. I'm gonna get the set. Just give him a read because they're not long reads.
No, no, I've even given the whole set as a wedding gift once to some friends. Yeah, but I don't think they appreciated it.
Oh, really?
Uh,
Depends on who
but if
they were.
they're open to it or they're not, that's with everything, I guess. You can't force your belief on anyone.
No, but nice try though. Nice try. Yeah, so what's bringing this up today? Like, what's bringing up whole Carlos for you?
Well, because it was a very inspiring point in my life when I was reading his books. I read his books for over 10 years, just going back over and over and over the series. And the
Mm,
reason was I was trying to find flaws. in his philosophy and his teaching is, and I couldn't. And that was the most intriguing thing about the series that kept me coming back. Is like he's got like this stuff can't all fit together,
Mm.
right? It's like the auric bodies and how they interact with the dreaming world and like these entities from the other world and the way that they pass on the teachings to the lineage and how it translates into our own current view of our politics in the world. And I was like, but at the end of the day, I couldn't. It all fit together. And even to the point of discrediting him in his own path in life and how he became more of a drug addict and a womanizer at the end there. I think it's because he let his frequency go lower, and he let things in because he was corrupt by I don't know, personal loss and his own life issues that he never dealt with personally. But I've read all the books about the people around him too, his apprentices, the women in his harem, his witchy harem,
Mm.
and I honestly think those women were loved him. They were in love with him, and they saw things through that lens. And yeah, it just gave him a real like a human being experience, right? Like he was just on this path here, and this is where he got caught up and where he went. But he did present the world with a wonderful gift if we could just highlight that and repackage it for the new generation, I think.
Yeah, totally. What drew you to him in the first place?
Well, I was an avid reader growing up. I've just like I was at the top of my reading level and comprehension out of any of the grade levels. My parents had given me some private tutoring when I was younger for reading, and
Mm.
it just me through the roof. Like I was way ahead of my class. Like I, my teachers even left me alone at that point because I would just like, be self-taught. So they would just see me reading in the corner and they just let me go. But one of the things is I read everything, and I read the first book. Carlos Castaneda was about 18 years old, and I was very unimpressed. And so I set it aside. I didn't care what people said about Carlos. I read the first book and I knew I didn't want to go any further. But I came to the point where I had read everything else in the house, everything else that I had, everything else that my girlfriend at the time had. And the only thing that was left on the shelf was the Carlos Castaneda series. So I
Right,
picked it back up, you know,
right.
plowed through the first one, made it through, picked up the second one. It was a little bit better, picked up the third one. It was good, engaging. And by the time I got to the fourth book, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to reread this one several times. And so that just became my obsession for like 10 years after that. It's just like, everything Carlos. And so like one of the lessons is I tell people right away, it's like, don't start with the first book.
Right.
Start second, third book or something like that. And then you can go back. Because I think the first book is good in that it gives authenticity to him as a man, a character trying to be honest.
Yeah.
And but I think his writing style at that time was terrible. It was just like
It wasn't
way
great.
films, um, whatever, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I
so
guess he was
yeah,
finding his way as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been putting together a storyline in my head. I've actually like started an outline for a new book, or like something that I would like to present, like giving them another chance or repackaging and presenting it for the new generation, addressing all these issues that people have against them, and then highlighting what the benefits are, because it is Toltec knowledge. It's ancient knowledge. At least that's the plan. And so here I am in Peru, right? Working with shamanism, working with plant medicines, the home of Carlos Castaneda, that no one knew he was from Peru until after he died because it was on his birth certificate, his death certificate. So like, and here I am. He was from Cajamarca, which I've been up there too. It's rich with history, like ruins,
Right.
and
I didn't know
it
that. I did not know that.
and him being Peruvian just makes sense that he'd be interested in shamanism when he
It
got to
is.
college
Exactly.
cultures.
It's interesting because I don't hear Castaneda being dropped much anymore, you know? People talking about him anymore as
Yeah,
much as
so
I
yeah,
did when I was younger.
right, and that's the reason why I picked up this book a few days ago again, because I found like we're so lost in the sea of nation now that I feel dirty. I feel corrupt just by getting online and just like seeing all the circuits, the absolute just disgusting display of the humanity at the moment, in my opinion.
Mm.
And so for me, I'm just like, get back to get away from this, to break this like dopamine rush from the screens, right? And get back to reading and get it back to what I was inspired with before. So I picked up the book again. We'll see if it works. But I think all of us in humanity are in this situation looking for a way back to a time that was a little bit more authentic.
Yeah, I definitely find myself in that place, you know, and like I've been going through a bit of a roller coaster the past few days and man, I totally have the same wavelength of thought. It's just like I'm polluting myself with all this shit on the internet that I'm looking at or social media and all these distractions. It's just completely stopping me from just being myself and in my own zone. I feel toxic. I really do. And I've been thinking, wow, I've got to get back to some reality, some normality, some grounding. But so I sort of have gone really far out and now I've come back in and I'm like, wow, okay, I'm able to reel myself back in. But the majority of people have no clue. They just get stuck in that sea of toxicity.
I know, and like I'm a bit pessimistic at this stage of my life because I've spent the last 20 years trying to like pull people out of it, and that's just been my mission and purpose
Mm,
is to like try to crack open the consciousness and fill it with ideas that are outside of like what we're dealing with here. You know, with my work with psychedelics, with bringing people to Peru, promoting shamanism, that's been like I couldn't think of anything better. But at
right.
this point in the game, it's like, wow, I think I'm fighting the ocean. You know, it's bigger than the river. And I'm like, at some point, I'm like, wow, I think I need to reassess the situation, maybe kind of change your strategy at this point. I don't think it's about convincing people of anything anymore. I think it's about just being the example and being the light. And because it's so hard for us on an individual level to pull out because it's getting so dense by the day that I think we're wasting our own lives and energy by trying to inspire and share and like bring people up anymore by trying to convince them of anything. So, but here we are
No,
recording a
you're
meeting.
right. You're 100%. I feel like, my mission's similar, but I feel like, I've been pushing a rock uphill here, and I'm
Yeah,
kind of in the city at the moment, and I'm just like, everything feels like I'm in a jiu-jitsu battle. Everything, and so I'm at this point where I'm like, wow, I think it's almost better just to remain silent at this point in time because it's lowering my own frequency, and I'm struggling to keep my
yeah.
voice high at the moment.
The battles become much tougher. Like even for me, like just by what I represent by the mentality. Look at me, I'm a white male, an older white man, right?
Mm,
I didn't think that would ever be held against me, but like I find I'm constantly judged by people I've never even met, like people that are inspired and people that come through constantly to the point where I'm like, wow, if I'm even going to help people at the level that I've been, I have to really take a back seat. I can't like I can keep the whole charade going, but I can't be the front man. I can't be the face of it all. Like
okay.
if I'm because
Well,
people just latch to justify their own um
why? Because you're a white guy? Are you talking about like guests and clients that come
yeah,
through? They're the ones judging you?
volunteers. Not all of them. Some of the great friends that have been coming through for 10 years, you know, plus
Yeah.
that I have good relationships with. Not all of them, but I definitely it's very palatable. It's very I'm shocked like how much I'm being judged or what the mentality of people are against like white male colonialistic ideas and it's like people they don't know anything about me.
Mm.
Journey or what
And do you find there's a certain type of person that's judging you?
women mostly.
Interesting.
But I think it's the if I dare say the woke consciousness.
Mm,
Like if in a small percentage of people, like some, like it's very hard to find anybody out there that doesn't have a little bit in them, that doesn't feel a little bit guilty about who they are. Need to justify that by reflecting it on others around them. and it's dangerous at this point, is my assessment of it. Um, with business, being a public figure, saying anything at all
Mm.
is cripples my ability to help people in the ways that I have been. And so the only conclusion I have is to pull back further and further and to put other people like women of color in front of me. You know me, I mean, my woman is pretty dark skinned lady.
Yeah, for
So
sure, for sure.
I feel like, and like my whole stick is about helping indigenous people. Like I have a massive healthcare program that works in the Amazon jungle, and working with native populations that's super extensive, in my opinion. And so
Mm.
like people, I mean, they have no idea like who I am, but it doesn't matter anymore because like I don't care what people think of me. I gotta like I never have, but I have to realize that what they think of me is impinging my ability to help others,
Right.
and so I have to assess my approach.
Mm. Mm. I don't see. I don't know if this is like I don't have it. Like I don't. I'm hearing what you're saying. I'm just like I don't know if taking a back seat, is the way. You know.
Well, I got to work from behind the scenes. I can't be the front face or man or talk anymore. Like I would even suggest you like we do emojis or like uh ours for this because like that's the level. Like I don't you don't think you've been subject to your own path for sure. It's been horrendous. I've heard your stories,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I don't think it's quite the flavor of what I've been doing.
No.
People see me as a colonialist oppressor with like just like right as soon as they see me, like they don't even know my name.
Do you think it's got to do, even before you open your mouth, you think it's got to do with something that you're American?
Maybe, sure. I think it's more that's just no white male. I think it's white male
So
mostly.
you think if you were black or darker or indigenous looking, it'd be a different story?
Absolutely, yes, yes.
Do you think it's because of where you are located?
A little bit, but I think it's just mostly like the people in Western society are so indoctrinated at this point, and
Mm,
that's those that I'm catering to bring into psychedelic work.
mm. Yeah, I think, look, like, I mean, to be honest, I think a lot of people, what I realized when I was there, like a lot of people come through with their own ego. There's massive amounts of ego that come through, and people tend to have this weird idea of like, well, I can do what you're doing, and I can do this better than the way you're doing it. I'm like, well, if that's the way it is, then why don't you do it? You know what I mean? And I've come across a lot of that when I was working there, and people automatically wouldn't like me just because they wouldn't like the look of me. And I didn't do anything. I didn't like very much like you, didn't say anything, didn't even open my mouth. They just did not like the look of me just because I was the guy at the front, simply because of that. Whatever shit they were bringing, they just decided they were going to project that at me. And for a good year, when I was working there, I took it all on board and I took it really personal. I really did. I didn't quite understand what was going on or why this was happening to me, and there was quite a few people that sometimes would really front up at me. They really would. I mean, we wouldn't end up in a punch up, but I'm like, man, like, they would get really arrogant towards me the first couple of days of the retreat. And I was just like, what is going on here? And women also. So it wasn't just men. I couldn't quite put my finger on what the hell was going on and why. I mean, by the end of the retreat and the 10 days, they were completely soft and different. So I just feel like people were just coming through with their own projections and their own bullshit, to be honest.
And
Now for you, it's probably, it's compounded even more because you've created this amazing place, and you're a foreigner in a foreign land, you're an American in Peru doing this shaman work, which is like all elusive and sort of, you don't put yourself on a pedestal, but you're up there and people kind of perhaps get intimidated by that. They perhaps think of, on some levels, they probably dream to have that kind of life and do that kind of work, but they're not. So there's kind of an ego, a jealousy that they're bringing through in their own respects. I mean, I don't have the answer, but this is what I've found along the way. Um, but
Yeah, I found too, and then people like second guess your intentions, but really, I'm like you said too, it's like if they can do it better, I encourage them to. I want people to do this type of work, and if they think that they can say and make this whole situation better, I'm absolutely open to it. But that's not the mentality they have. They do it as an egotistic power struggle,
that's right. That's right.
and that's what always like catches me on the like blind side.
Yeah, I mean, of course it would. I mean, you've got a lot of practice now, and you can almost like expect it in many ways. I mean, you would have. So, like, I really admire you because you actually went down to Peru however many years ago, right at the beginning, and decided at some point that you were going to start a center there, a retreat center. Being a white guy from the States in Peru, in a foreign land, I don't think you spoke Spanish much. And I'm like, man, this is a huge, huge task that you've decided to take on, and it's not easy corralling the Peruvians to work, you know. Pretty hard to find skilled labor out there.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And you persevered and you did it. And I don't like I've been with you down there and sometimes man, I'm tearing my hair out just trying to communicate and get things done clearly. It's sort of feel like, you're herding cats a lot of the times. And you've persevered. I don't know how many years you've been in now, 20 years? Something
yeah,
crazy.
19 years now, almost 20.
Yeah, and you just keep pushing through. You just kept pushing through. I mean, have you had times where you just like, fuck this, man, I just want to abandon all this?
Yeah, but I'm in it.
What else
So
is there?
ship or I'm getting out. So it's one or the other. Like
Uh,
if it has to sustain itself, right? That's the goal. I feel like the vision, I've always believed in the vision of it all. And so for me, good idea, it needs to be able to perpetuate and grow, whether or not I'm a part of it. So I'm going to do everything I can to empower this idea to continue beyond me. We'll
right.
see.
I mean, I love it. I mean, that's a really good thing. Like, have you ever thought about the continuation beyond you?
Oh, I wish it could happen today. This is what I'm waiting for. People to be like, "Oh, I can do this." Okay, here you go. And
Hand it
nobody,
over.
nobody
Right.
can. And
It's not,
I've,
it's not easy.
I've seen three people that I really had a lot of faith and was really hoping and helping, and it hasn't worked out. So I'm like, wow, is this something I can pass on? Is it something that somebody that hasn't gone through creating it themselves from scratch can step into and manage correctly?
Mhm.
I, just so many aspects into it, and people bringing in indoctrinated ideas that don't are disempowering
Yeah,
and
I
trying to
think.
situation
Yeah.
is just, and so that's something I had to really look at too. It's like, okay, are people coming in here with ego that want to run the place because of their own ego? Because this won't run with ego. Right? You can't at the top levels of it. But then I've learned so much over the years. It's like, yeah, it's a lonely path. It's lonely at the top. Uh, There's like the eagles fly alone, no ego there, but like the higher up you go, the more
Of course.
alone the path, the road less traveled, right? So it's where the uncomfortability is. That's where the growth is, and that's how this all came about is through uncomfortability.
Mhm.
So yeah, yeah, but not holding anybody on pedestals, right? Like, and that's the biggest danger is like most people hold shamans on pedestals when they come down here.
They do. That was a big lesson for me too. Getting out there, I'm like, oh, these amazing beings. But then the more time I spent there, and the more time I actually, spent with the shamans, I'm like, well, they're just like you and me. They're
Yes,
pretty simple folk. I mean, the Peruvians.
it
Um,
takes 7 years, I find, for most Westerners to kind of dissolve those illusions. For
yeah.
me too, I did it as well when I first came down here. I was like, oh, everything they said, oh yeah, apply this, apply that. This is why, yeah, but no, no.
No,
And the
no. I found a lot of them don't apply a lot of the knowledge themselves.
Absolutely, yes.
A lot of it's just a job for them, especially in Peru. It sounds like it's like every second native is a bloody shaman. It's a way to make money, sing a couple songs. So yeah, it's kind of hard to see the real people, the real ones from the fake ones. But then they're limited in their knowledge as well.
Right, yeah. As we all are. But yes, them as well. So,
Yeah.
but that's what I honor about it. Like at the end of the day, I was like, what's the best thing I can do to help the Shipibo and the culture?
Mm,
And is it like through, is it through tourism? Is it through spreading the knowledge? Is it through, education? And at the end of the day, like what really has been struck home to me is like just keep them alive. Just like whatever I can do just to keep the people alive. Because they're being attacked more than anything else through like diet and poor water and poor like
sure.
sodas everywhere and just environments and just being misled through education. That at the end of the day, like it's just like set up healthcare programs in rural areas. Just like treat like uh, water and foodborne illnesses, treat like deal with the cancers, deal with diabetes. This is the stuff that I really think is the best that I can do for giving back to the future. And so that's my focus.
Right. Yeah, that's great. But don't you feel like this sounds shit, man, but it's a bit of a band-aid? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's like better than giving them money to go to the hospital or giving them money to like just like I pay very well. I pay like like doctors. But
mm,
I find that hey, money doesn't help.
no,
And the people, if anything, it's worse. I've seen it destroy people's lives when they come into large amounts of money. I've destroyed their families, just invigorate their addictions, make them become like really not great people.
mm,
So how do we empower? How do we show them the strength of their culture and why we're down here and wanting to learn from them? And for me, it's like we're dealing with cognitive dissonance on both sides, both as Westerners and them as native populations coming into this. They want their cell phones too. They want their chance at all this stuff that we've had, and they're very confused as to why we're here. They think that we already have it figured out, that we have the answers in the Western world with our Western medicines and such. And so, like, you have a heart to heart with some of the locals here, and it'll shift your paradigm.
Well, totally, but I think the locals are quite in the middle, right? Because their ancestors came out of the jungles, like maybe 50 years ago or maybe longer or not that, around there, I'd say. And now they've got technology and all this Western medicine and all of that. And soda and religion and all these things. So it's kind of like they're in the middle. That kind of blew me away is when I was there, is a lot of the locals feared plant medicine. They feared ayahuasca, right? A lot of them are
They,
Christians.
they want
So,
to forget it. They don't want to be associated with their tribes.
right. What's
They
that
want to be
about?
like Spanish descendant. We're like, what? The Spanish were the most oppressive people of the culture of this whole continent, and
Yeah,
they're desperate to be associated with it.
it's bizarre
So
to me. I don't get it. I don't get it.
yeah, yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, what do you say we kind of wrap it up here for today?
For sure. I love the chat. It was a great chat. I'm gonna go order myself the Castaneda books. Actually, you've inspired me to get back into them again.
Bye. Hopefully, some others as well.
I hope so.
Well,
All right.
awesome.
Till next time.